Most of the fish that we sell to the pet stores, I sell in that $1 to $10 range, and they mark them up accordingly. So you'll buy them for, $2 to $30. But there is a small group of fish that I cannot keep in stock, and they're very difficult to find. And when I do, they're gone the same week. And I sell those for about $150 each, which means they're retailing in those aquarium stores for $300 and up. So I want to talk about what makes this class of fish, and I'm talking about the show Flowerhorn. What makes this class of fish so desirable for those people who are looking for a big, aggressive fighter fish? And what did it take to create this fish? Because it's a hybrid. It doesn't come from the wild. It takes a lot of breeding and a lot of work to get this fish to that show stage. So we're going to look at different grades of Flowerhorns, how we make them. And so I'm going to be a little bit of a mad scientist today and show you what goes into hybridizing. Hybridizing is cross-breeding two separate species. They do it in plants. You see hybrids for roses and all kinds of different vegetables. You see it in fish. There are over 100 different hybrids that are sold in the aquarium and in the fish and game industry. There are 30,000 species of fish that are available to all of us worldwide, both in fish and game, ornamental, but only 100 that have actually been successfully hybridized and you can purchase on a regular basis. One of the kings of that is the Flowerhorn. In fact, there's one Flowerhorn called the Gold Monkey that sells for $1,000 and up. And there's a myth that one sold for $600,000 at a specialized show in Bangkok, and I don't ever believe any of that stuff when I hear it.
This golden monkey Flowerhorn is truly a masterpiece, a living jewel.
Indeed it is. $600,000 as agreed.
But they do absolutely sell for starting at $1,000. I've got a Flowerhorn that we're going to show you, but I'm going to show you what we use to make that Flowerhorn. I'm going to sell for about $120. As soon as I put it on the stock list, it's going to go. Hybridization in physically and in breeding behavior. Children might need to leave the room now. These two can naturally mate. Most of the time they don't have offspring. When they do have offspring, you get a hybrid. And of those offspring, the males are generally sterile. You can find the one or two that are not sterile when they reach maturity, then you can create more hybrids. And that's how hybrids are created. If you can sustain that line of fish, then you've got a new hybrid for either fish and game or for the aquarium trade. In the 1990s, both simultaneously Malaysia and Bangkok, the breeders were fooling around with a fish trying to create something that was bigger and meaner than the Siamese fighting fish, or beta. Because you can breed the beta as big as you can, he's still going to be this big. You put two in a little fighting vessel and bet on them to fight, and you can only have so big an audience. So they wanted something bigger and meaner and make gambling a little more fun. That's where it came from. So they started trying to hybridize this and that and that. In the course of a few years, they came up with what we now know today as a Flowerhorn. The Flowerhorn has morphed into several different varieties, and I have one of the lower show quality varieties here. But like I said, the Golden Monkey, which I don't carry in the store, that one's like incredibly expensive. So hybridizing also can be created through artificial insemination, but for the most part it's by trying to get the water parameters in a condition where the two different species will naturally breed. So how did they make them? Well, first they created the red parrot cichlid. The red parrot cichlid, there's a parrot cichlid that's wild. It's absolutely stunning in Colombia, and I bring that in once in a while. This has no relationship to that, other than its origin is from South American species, actually Central American species, so even, yeah, it has no relationship to the natural parrot cichlid. So these are blood red parrot cichlids, and I'm going to put red devil cichlid And we're going to put in a Vieja Sensibilum. Don't grab. I didn't grab them. I scooped them. If you're going to try and do, because if I get a net in here and swish them around, I think it's cause more stress. So I just kept my fingers open, let the water flow through, got the fish in here, and then put them in. That way you're not interrupting his stress coating. And that's one reason I always say you should use a coarse net, not a fine net, because it's also better for not interrupting that slime coating that's on the fish. So anyways, we put them all in here. The red devils are native to, and Amphilophus is the family name. Anyways, these red devils are native to Central America. So is the Vieja Sensibilum. When they reach maturity, they can be crossbred. When you crossbred these under the right conditions, they will have an offspring, and the offspring will be the red parrot that we know of, very common in all the pet stores, red parrot cichlid. And it's called parrot just because it has a funny face and they thought it looked kind of like a parrot. They are rather aggressive, but Central American species, when they get bigger and they get in heat, they generally are aggressive. But they can go with other fish their same size. But that's how the red parrot was created. And now it's ubiquitous. You see it all over the pet trade. And it was hybridized 20 years before the Flowerhorn came into existence. Now that we've made the red parrot cichlid, so we removed Vieja Sensibilum because he did what he was supposed to do. He helped us create the red parrot cichlid. Now we introduce Devil Trimac. The juveniles don't look anything like the adults, by the way. The adults are big and orange and red. All these South Americans have a little bit of a bump on their head. What the breeders are trying to do is get a bigger and bigger bump on the head. And the Malaysians use the word KOK for the top of the head, and it means a warhead. Now we've got our blood red parrot cichlid, we've got a Amphilophus trimaculatus, and we have the red devil. It's an Amphilophus citronella. These three species together, when they create an offspring, you get a Flowerhorn. Now, how do you get these three to breed? Breeders have all kinds of different tricks, one at a time, then the next one. I mean, you can imagine the work that's involved, especially when you remember that most of the males are sterile. When they do successfully have offspring, if you get all the parameters right, you finally get offspring, 95% of the males are sterile. And then you got to get those up and figure out which one's not sterile, and it's a lot of work. So then you get the Flowerhorns. And then you find out what grades a Flowerhorn. The bigger the hump, the better. So now you got all these that are secondary. What do you do with that? Well, in Malaysia, what they did is they threw them back in the ponds, and now they're invasive, and they're trying to get them back out of the ponds. Here we have a different situation. We have a lot of people who like Flowerhorns. They're kind of aggressive, medium-sized cichlid community fish with another larger aggressive tank. So the B quality Flowerhorns, and they're bred in Florida by the gazillions, are just called red dragon Flowerhorns or blue pearl Flowerhorns. Pearl, when you hear it in Flowerhorns, means little white spots. Those are sold for anywhere between $5 to $10 wholesale. So you'll see them anywhere from 30 to 50 bucks in the aquarium stores. I have a little bit of those, so I'm going to lead up to the show quality. So let me show you, let me get these guys out and show you what their offspring looks like. Both their offspring. First, the B quality red dragon Flowerhorn, and then the A quality red hump Flowerhorn. You put those three guys together, and these are juveniles, you get these guys. These are red pearl Flowerhorns. Pearl because these ones have a lot of white pearlescence spots on them. You kind of a bluish white, very pretty. They're a little shy right now. They grow to 12 inches. They get pretty mean. The males have the hump on their head, or the KOK. The females do not. The males are more aggressive than the females. The hump is not pronounced. It's more like a little bump, like a small protrusion. These guys are on the show quality ones, it gets the size of golf balls on the front of their head, on their foreheads. They are used as fighters. They are used as ornamental fish when we sell them. But I've heard around the bayou that they do have fighting with red dragon flowerhorns, and it is done in Bangkok. I don't know if it's done anywhere else. It's not done in the state of California, though, I'll tell you that. So anyways, very pretty fish, but it took a lot of work to create this thing. And now we have a new hybrid in the world, the Flowerhorn. So what we have here is, in our trade, we call these 2 inches, or medium juveniles. Juveniles, you can't tell the sex. There's no protruding hump yet. Going to take another maybe 1.5 inches of growth for these guys. So we're talking about 4 months before we can really tell the males from the females. And even at that stage, there's going to be a few males that slip through as females because they don't get much of a forehead. But these guys are actually pretty good quality as far as color is concerned for the price. I would wholesale these fish for about $7 to $8. So you'll see these for around $24.99 in the aquarium store. Now this group of fish were created not by all that hybridization. Now that we got a going strain of Flowerhorns, you just breed them with male and female Flowerhorns of the same strain, and they have offspring of the same strain. The trick is, as you get more and more showy Flowerhorns, you get less and less fertile males. They're like I said, most of them are born sterile. So it's still tricky, but much easier than trying to hybridize all these different species together. And in the case of the Flowerhorn, hybridizing species and hybrid species together. These guys came from Florida. The Florida breeders, they didn't do any of the hybridization. All that hard work was done in Malaysia and Bangkok, Thailand, where it still is going on. That's where the golden monkey came from. These guys are just bred in ponds from like species. So to find out how they took 3 different species, when one of them is a hybrid, to get this fish is tricky. I don't know the answer. I don't know the tricks that the guys over in Asia did. Obviously, not obviously, but I think they had to put like the red Flowerhorn and the Trimac together and create some hybrid that no one wanted, some intermediate hybrid, but it's desirable to create the breeding conditions with the red devil, and then that creates, their offspring creates the Flowerhorn. But what does that intermediate species look like? So I'm not sure. If anyone in the audience knows how these 3 were all put together to create this thing, please let us know, and we'll put it in the next, we'll give you credit, we'll put your comments in the next show. So now, without further ado, is our showstopper. So this fellow, a pearl red hump Flowerhorn. There's several different variations of the show Flowerhorn. The pearl red hump Flowerhorn, I would say this is a good representation. I brought in 2, and like I put one out on the market yesterday and it went out. It's already out of the warehouse. This guy I'm putting on today, he came in, so you had the other one quarantined 3 days. This guy came in with some fin damage, so he's been in quarantine for a week, but I'm releasing him tomorrow. He's all healed up now. He's going to go for, I sold the last guy for about $150. The store already has it sold for $400. This guy is going to probably sell for around $250. But yeah, I wish I could show you the $400 one, but Jonathan, the producer, can show you what a more pronounced hump. It looks like a golf ball. But you can see this is a male with a very good KOK on his head. And it is a very good representation, particularly because of his color, of a good A quality Flowerhorn. Maybe not the best, because like I said, the hump is not as formed as I'd like. It does get larger as he gets larger, and he gets mean. This guy's a good fighter. Sometimes he'll even go for your finger, so be careful. They do have little teeth. I've had him bite me before, though. It's like a pinch. They didn't break the skin. But if they're big enough, they can. They can bite the tip of your finger off. I had one here that was this big, and he would go at you if he saw people go by his fish tank. Because they're hybrid, they're stupid. They don't know they can't defeat us. Anyways, this is why some fish are $300 to $500 in the stores, and you cannot even keep them in stock. First off, there's not a lot of them. They have very unique behaviors that are very desirable to certain collectors. And because of that, as soon as I get a good one, it's gone. You had a good question. Okay, what do you hybridize to make this thing? Well, once you've got the Flowerhorn, you can find different variations within the offspring of that Flowerhorn to create more different variations. So the Flowerhorns, from a number of different ways, there is a secret sauce to these breeders. Sometimes I showed you the species that were primarily used to create what we know as a Flowerhorn. But I don't think the golden monkey came from those 3 species. So hybridization does occur with the Flowerhorn. But in the case of things like the pearl and the red hump and the blues, those guys are all from those 3 species. Then they're interbred within the group of Flowerhorns to create the different looks. This guy came from those 3 species. Now, in case of expensive fish like this, I don't know if you in the audience would buy this particular fish because of his aggression level. I'm sure 1 or 2 of you would. What I have for you in that case is every week I get from aquariumfish.com, they usually sell a couple of these a week. I always bring in a couple for them. I always bring a couple extra for our pet stores. If you do want to look at this fish and see what we actually have in stock, you can contact customer service at aquariumfish.com, or you can ask your local pet store if they're one of my customers. If they're not, they should be. Ask them for a picture of this fish and I can send it to them or directly to you. We're not going to do that for, guppies and neon tetras, but when someone's going out of pocket for several $100s, we'll take a picture of it for them and show them what they're actually getting. Because there is some variation even within the same strains and sizes of the species. Like I said, the hump can look very different in size and appearance, and this guy is kind of a medium-sized hump. Some of them are crazy big, and sometimes I have females, and some people like females for breeding, so we will send you the pictures. Besides saltwater, they don't count. What's the most expensive freshwater that you guys have ever bought? It'd be great to hear that in the comments section and get maybe a string going. I'd like to see what kind of stuff's going on out there. But you can't really do any of that unless you have an aquarium. But also, please like and subscribe to the show. But most of all, please get an aquarium.